Hi everyone, so the topic of today's tutorial is aging. So why do we age? Well, aging can be defined as the time-dependent functional decline of an organism, but essentially it's just the process of growing old. And aging can occur at both the organismal level and at the cellular level. So many people accept that aging is a natural process and that it's unavoidable. However, not all organisms age at the same rate. For example, the Greenland shark is known to live for around 300 to 500 years, whereas some insects, such as mayflies, might only live for 24 hours. There are also many types of single-cell organisms like bacteria, which can divide by fission to produce daughter cells, and even some plant cells that can create clones of themselves, essentially making them biologically immortal. But for the rest of this tutorial, I'm going to focus on human aging and the science behind it. So aging research has increased significantly over the last few decades, and I guess this reflects the fact that we're now living much longer. So 200 years ago, the average life expectancy would have been around 35 to 40 years, whereas the World Health Organization reported in 2016 that the average life expectancy is now 72. So from all this research, we've now recognised that aging isn't just a passive process, and that it's actually controlled by many different genetic and biochemical pathways. One of the major contributing factors to aging is the time-dependent accumulation of cellular damage. So an example of this would be telomere erosion. So telomeres are the end regions of chromosomes. However, because our DNA is linear, each time a cell divides, around 50 to 200 base pairs of telomeric DNA ends up being lost. And this is known as the end replication problem. So over time, successive rounds of cell divisions will result in telomeres becoming shorter and shorter, until they reach a critical point where our cells are programmed to undergo cellular senescence. So this means that if telomeres become critically short, they'll undergo stable cell cycle arrest and will no longer be able to divide. So other types of DNA damage, such as non-telomeric DNA damage, that would be single or double-stranded DNA breaks, can also be problematic and therefore will also trigger senescence. So this is obviously extremely beneficial, and when we're younger, these cells tend to be cleared by our immune system. However, over time, the accumulation of senescent cells seems to overwhelm the system, and as less are being cleared, this can lead to aging. So I'm currently planning to do a much more detailed tutorial on cellular senescence, so if you want to learn more about it, then keep an eye out for that tutorial. Another major contributing factor to aging is stem cell exhaustion, especially to the phenotype of aging. And by this I mean the physical appearance of aging. For example, grey hair is usually a result of the depletion of stem cells that reside in the hair follicles. Stem cells are pluripotent or multipotent cells that have the ability to both self-renew and to differentiate into a number of different cell types. They can therefore regenerate tissue if it's damaged, and during embryonic development, stem cells are crucial in order to properly develop all the parts of the body. However, over time, the number of stem cells in the body decreases, and the functionality of the remaining stem cells seems to decrease as well. And this is mainly due to them becoming senescent also. So this means that eventually stem cell exhaustion will lead to a loss of regenerative capacity. So a loss of hematopoietic stem cells can lead to anemia and myelodysplasia. A loss of mesenchymal stem cells can lead to osteoporosis and the inability to repair broken or fractured bones. So as well as cell autonomous changes, and by this I mean changes that happen within the cell itself, aging can also involve changes at the intercellular level, so altered intracellular communication. And one of the most prominent changes is known as inflammaging. So this describes the low-grade chronic inflammation that elderly people seem to get, and this tends to be under sterile conditions, which means that it's often in the absence of any infection. And the reason for this is not necessarily entirely clear, but it could be due to an accumulation of tissue damage or most likely the failure of the aging immune system itself. And unfortunately, many age-related diseases such as obesity or type 2 diabetes are actually caused by inflammation, hence why these diseases tend to correlate with age in the human population. Okay, so to sum up, aging is a time-dependent process, and it's caused by a combination of cellular damage that leads to a loss of regeneration and the accumulation of senescent cells, as well as an altered intercellular communication. So I've put a link in the description at the bottom of the page of a scientific review which highlights some of the main hallmarks of aging. So if anyone's interested in reading more, then feel free to check that out. And I'll be making a lot more videos on the topic of aging as well. So keep an eye out and make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on those videos. Thank you.